The key role in the partnership with the company and marketing is the communication. If the communication is on spot, that leads to the trust. So the trust is again the biggest thing in the business. That trust then leads to a good, solid partnership that benefit both.
Today I'm here with Hafiz from SmartWay Energy. So just as a bit of an introduction, SmartWay are one of our longest standing clients. I think we've been with you for about 2 years now. So I'll hand it over to Hafiz now to give a brief introduction to his background and SmartWay Energy.
Thank you, Brad. Yeah, it's been a long partnership. And in terms of SmartWay Energy, we come into this industry to reduce carbon emission from the UK. We really want to take part into the environmental issues. So just really want to take part in the reduction of the carbon from the UK. That's a good initiative from the government. We've just started in those days where the scheme just goes properly and the finishing years nearby, a lot of hurdles and difficulties come around. The more important always being a marketing side. Rest is just some good decisions just lead us to produce a quality and big number of installs in a short period of time.
Yeah, amazing. Obviously, we'll speak a little bit about your current sort of numbers in terms of installs, etc. But I'd be interested to hear a little bit more about your personal story as well, because I know you've been involved with Eco for a little while. You've worked for various companies in different roles. Give us a little bit of a background in terms of how long you've been involved in Eco and what roles you've had previous to SmartWay.
Basically, I'm Retrofit Assessor, so working in good company before was a really wonderful experience with some good people. I started my own company with my partners that really worked into the health sector, and they are working properly in the care homes and all these for NHS basically. That's really amazing to just get along with him, and that gives us more power to just put into the market to just reduce carbon emission. That was basically the purpose to start this business, and obviously if any business can run, we'll ended up with the profits. When we started, there are a lot of hurdles we've seen into the market. Big competitors, they don't really want anybody to come and sit in front of them doing business. Especially if you come from the grassroots. Business wasn't my domain. I was working with them, and that change basically gives me a lot of teachings as well, how people changes. That journey was difficult in terms of marketing, dealing with the managing agents, because the competitors don't really want us to get there. But at the end, it's pretty well. We face all the challenges and stick with the plan, doesn't really rush, just took the right decisions on the right times. That leads us to establish a good company. It's not saying a biggest one, but the thing is the quality we produce, and with our managing agents, they really like us to be onboarded all the time. That's the biggest achievement at the end. The customer satisfaction always been a key role in the company. We were happy that we have a lot of happy customers on the Trustpilot as well.
You sort of briefly touched upon it there, but what was the biggest hurdle you had moving from working for a company where you could focus on one role to then starting your own company where you need to take care of paperwork, compliance, marketing? It must have been a lot to move from what you were doing previously into running your own business.
If I think more about this one, that's always been a difficult thing to just think about, but I got a good team initially that didn't really make me feel that difficulty in that time. I worked quite hard with the partners, and we just think about this specific company all the time. My staff, literally, they work hard for the company specifically. They don't really think about any salaries or such sort of thing. They just put everything into this one. We really appreciate them. We didn't have that much difficulty just because we were new in this market. They helped us quite perfectly. That gives more power to us. The main hurdle, obviously, the marketing side. That's not our domain anyway. I never had any experience in regards to that. We've used some different companies before. Some of them are not giving results. Some of them are expensive. Maybe some communication errors or sort of thing. That was the biggest hurdle initially to get the customers on board. But obviously after BLC, it's totally changed.
We'll get on to our partnership and the results in a second. I think the one thing that's always impressed me about SmartWay since we've been working together is how quickly you've grown the company, particularly given in the last couple of years of Eco, it has been quite a tough period for a lot of installers. So a lot of the companies that we speak to or we work with 2 or 3 years ago, they were doing double the amount of installs that they do now. But now they're sort of struggling to find the leads or get funding. Whereas it seems like you guys at SmartWay, you've only gone from strength to strength. Aside from the marketing, which we'll touch upon, what's been the main thing behind your success over the last couple of years?
After the marketing side, we had the Telesales team that I really appreciate them. We've got 90 to 95% conversion rate to the appointments to the installs. That was was one of the best part of the company. That strengthened the partnership with the marketing side, with the installation side. That exactly the key point where if they convert the leads into the installs, that basically was a breakthrough for us. Obviously, the team working from your side, from our side as well. So that was great.
That's definitely a big difference that we've seen for SmartWay compared to potentially some other installers that haven't seen as good results with online marketing. Whenever a new lead comes through for you guys, it's called by your team in under a minute. And they're very on top of getting those leads qualified and booked in for a survey. I'm sure that once the survey's been done, the communication with the customers from then onwards is just as good as in the first place as well. That's really good to hear.
I want to say something about the marketing. We never rush the scheme, just going like a roller coaster all the time. This is not an easy job to do. We've got some difficult times. We never panic. We never stopped marketing. We never reduced the budget. That I think makes a big difference in comparison with the competitors. So the time when scheme fluctuates, everyone just stop and downsize the company. We stick with the plans. Maybe that power gives my partner, which I really always admired him. His decisions always been remarkable. He said, we'll take care of the financials, but we need to just go with the plans which we made. And that leads to the success at the end. In difficult time, if we stick with the marketing side, that gives more leads, more customers, more installs in comparison to other companies. They just stopped everything. That is also the biggest part of the success.
You had big goals to grow the company very quickly, but you mentioned that a few of your marketing partners or the few things you tried before BLC didn't quite go to plan. So what were the main challenges that you were facing before you came on board with us?
Yeah, so in terms of marketing, before the BLC was going just on the normal side. We were installing around 20-25 jobs in a month. Basically, the marketing was very expensive at that time because we haven't had any experience, so they charge quite big. After onboarding the BLC and when we did the comparison with both of them, literally, then we got to know that there are some companies who will give you cheap and more quality leads in comparison with different lead generation companies. The quality leads just increased and the conversion rate, then Telesales converted into the big number of installs. The results give us more power to just install more and more in coming months. That leads to 150 installs a month too. The basic thing is the money. Obviously, we were spending quite high and the conversion rate were very low with other companies, changes with the BLC.
Sure. So the main sort of difference between us and what you're doing before is just the quality of leads coming through was better through the BLC ads.
Yeah, obviously. That's the main big thing. The quality always. When we started, the main thing which we've noticed, quite frequent bookings out of some leads. We don't really bother with the CPL, cost per lead, but always matters is the cost per installs. The cost per installs with BLC is pretty low. Obviously, in a business, we need to look into these sort of stats. We continue with them for another month to compare and just to make sure that we've got good results from BLC and that will be not for the short term. So that's what we've did.
Is that what gave you the confidence to keep increasing your spend? Because I know that you guys always want to spend more on the ads and get more leads in. Once you had confirmed it for a few months, you were then happy to put more money into the campaign.
Yeah, basically. Exactly. And that exactly happened. You know that initial months we just stick with some specific budget and then we increase and increase. Your team also did pretty much well. The key role in the partnership with the company and marketing is the communication. If the communication is on spot, that leads to the trust. So the trust is again the biggest thing in the business. That trust then leads to a good, solid partnership that benefit both. You're doing your great part. We're doing the quality we produce. That's exactly matters at the end.
And I think a lot of other installers watching this would be quite interested to hear how you manage the amount of leads coming through that you get, not just in terms of actually calling those leads up, but also managing all the paperwork, the actual installations, whilst keeping the quality as high as you do. Would you mind just talking through a little bit about your process and kind of how you run things at SmartWay and how you do that many installs whilst keeping the quality so high?
The basic thing is just cut down the profit, to be honest. So we don't really bother with the profits, cutting in the profit, put money into the team basically. We have a lot of retrofit assessors around the UK and we have some good retrofit coordinators. They really helped us. They capture the data. They don't really change anything, which brings the quality into the work. Then installs, obviously, the gas engineers, they've done a great job. And then the compliance, they always been in contact with the customer. If we need any documentation afterwards or all these things, these proper communication brings the quality into the work. The paperwork, I have qualified IT specialist and software specialist as well, looking after all the work. And with managing agents, we've got some good compliments that your company's always been responsive. You guys chase us instead of we chasing you regarding any documentation or anything. the teamwork brings quality. We want quality, so we need to look after the employees.
Yeah, that makes sense. SmartWave had a great couple of years since you formed the company, but what is sort of the plan for the company into 2026 and beyond? I know it's difficult with how the eco scheme is at the moment and not knowing too much about the Warm Homes plan as of when we're recording this, but what sort of plans have you got to keep growing the company?
The first part is we're going to stick with the eco warmer home, or any scheme will stay in this market. We're not going to go anywhere. In terms of business continuity plan, we literally had a lot of meetings in-house, and maybe we will expand into different sort of industry. That's a bit early to say. So we will plan, because we had a good experience in terms of customer satisfaction, in terms of installation, quality, everything. Now we believe that we can do anything in terms of if we start any sort of different dimensional work. We literally progressing to that side, and obviously BLC as a marketing partner, we literally have a longer partnership coming ahead. We have a lot of plans I don't really want to disclose before that.
Yeah, sure. I think it'd be good to kind of get your opinion on what you think will happen. Eco's plan to come to an end at the end of March. It's not yet confirmed when the Warm Homes plan's going to be ready. Do you think it will be ready for April, or do you think there'll be a bit of a gap between the two schemes for installers?
Actually, there is a lot of discussion going around in terms of extension and everything. To be honest, we don't have any solid consultation got from the utilities, from the department, from the Trustmark, from the Ofgem. So we can't really comment on it. But in my opinion, maybe there will be a gap of 3-4 months. But if any company like us or any newcomer wanted to enter into this market, they really need to work for 3-4 months to start it, because next scheme will gonna be the more compliance and more solid one. So everyone needs to have that specific time to just make themselves ready for the next.
Yeah, it actually might be a bit of a positive for a lot of companies in some ways that there's a little bit of a gap, because it might give them time to prepare and potentially fix some
And
things in their
specifically
business.
for the new entrants into the market, that's more important for them.
Yeah, because I know there's been a lot of discussion really since Eco4 started. What differences would you like to see for the next schemes?
In terms of new scheme, obviously, we really looking after the compliance works and the quality for the customers. The government's initiative is to make UK carbon free as well as lower energy bills for the customer. So main target is to achieve that. If they do more compliance and the installers produce a quality, that exactly reflects to the government's initiative.
Sure, that makes sense. As you mentioned, a lot of it is just speculation at the moment, but there's been a little bit of talk that the companies might have to go through councils. So rather than them having to generate their own work and submit that to a managing agent, that it might be more regionalised. We might have councils sort of in charge of who gets the funding and who can actually install those jobs. In your opinion, would you like to see that as a more centralised way of managing the installers and managing the quality of the work?
As an installer, we don't really think much about it, because as an installation company, you need to focus on the work which you've received, rather through the council or from the managing agents or all over the UK nationwide or something. You just need to work, and that has to achieve either way. Basically, we don't really comment which one is better or which one is not. I think, in my opinion, the main focus has to be on to the quality.
You mentioned the quality of leads coming from the campaign with BLC. Do you have any sort of idea over the last 18 months since we've been working together how many installs you've done just from our campaign?
We've installed around more than 700 installs from the BLC, and that exactly doubled the number if we compare with other companies in terms of a month. Obviously, the teamwork, they made us to this point that we produce quality. Your team, we have some good account managers from your side, and from my side, obviously, they have very good bonding and communication. That exactly made the difference, basically. This is not any difficulty to just get hold of your side, because in this market, in fluctuation, you need to have somebody always on board from your company with us just to discuss. For example, if we think one side and maybe explain to us that will be much better to go with this specific difficulty. So we always listen to the marketing side as well, and just take the seat after.
Yeah, and obviously for a company like yours in the industry, leads and customers kind of every single month coming in are really at the foundations of being able to scale things up. So has the results from the campaign with us kind of allowed you to hire more staff, kind of scale the business, and actually just be confident that you've got leads coming in month after month?
Yeah, exactly. That's the basic thing. If you got the business, then you need to take decision regarding the expansion of a company, how you're gonna recruit more staff before taking any decisions to just expand everything. Obviously, nobody really want their money to stuck into the market. So we've took decision just on the basis of the good results from the marketing, and yeah, we've done it at the end.
Yeah, and we spoke a little bit earlier about your telesales team that you have in-house who call up the BLC leads, but also in the last couple of months, you've also been working alongside the telesales team at BLC. We've been helping you go through some of the older leads which you didn't convert or couldn't contact. So what sort of impact has that had in terms of maximising your spend in the last couple of months by also using our calling services as well?
As I've mentioned before, the in-house telesales are amazing, remarkable results they've produced for us. But obviously, time to time, when we spend more into the marketing side, that's difficult to just cover everything by them. We've increased the number when we've got the telesale services from the BLC on the older leads and some part in the new one. That makes a huge difference, because the telesales literally deal with the latest leads which are coming maybe for 1 day, 2, maybe couple, 3, 4 days. Obviously, some customers, they need some time to just think about whether they're gonna go after. In this market, the main reason most people think this is scam. So that's exactly the hurdle the telesales always facing, but they've done a great job. After 3-4 days, the BLC telesales took over everything, and they make a huge difference. I mean, those leads are just dead for us. Maybe after a week or 2, telesale members just go back and just give them a call. But at the same time, if they go along on the new leads, all the leads BLC obviously covered, and we've good number of bookings out of them. That was really a good move, maybe from our side or your team. That exactly worked for us as well. Because those leads, obviously, we spend everything on it. If we don't call them, that's just gone. But if we call them and book them, that's just win-win situation.
Yeah, I think that's probably the biggest problem a lot of installers run into when they run online campaign. They don't have a good setup in terms of actually calling the leads up quickly and efficiently. Obviously, that's something that you guys have, but the service that we offer for installers, where we don't just generate leads, but we actually call them up, deal with all the qualification and book them in for a survey. For those installers that have the capacity to do that in-house, they don't have the time, it probably makes the biggest impact and results for them, like you've seen with the older leads, because our team's working from Monday to Saturday. They do mornings, evenings. It makes a huge difference in terms of how many leads actually convert.
One thing I want to mention is, obviously, we had in-house setup, and the BLC literally got adopted to that setup, I think within 1 or 2 days. That was a big thing, because if they took a week or so, we're not gonna continue with that one. So they just come, adopt it, go hard, and the results produced.
Yeah, I think that's a big thing a lot of installers notice as well, is obviously we've worked with a lot of companies in the industry now, so it doesn't take us long to kind of get up to speed in terms of what you're looking for and how to fit in with your company. I think that's the goal for us, really, is to almost be an extension of your in-house team, and it feels like you've got your own office team that just happen to work for BLC, basically. So we obviously speak to a lot of installers like yourself who are on the fence about potentially running their own online campaign with BLC. A lot of them have never done it previously, or they might have worked with other agencies and it's not quite gone to plan. So for any installers watching this, what would you say about working with BLC, and would you recommend them starting with us?
Yeah, as I've mentioned before, the results we've got doubled. If they got on board, they need to test it at least for 2-3 months, because in a month time, you can't really see anything in terms of marketing. This is what I've learned personally in this market. They need to spend and got patience, and hopefully you got patience from our side. That exactly makes a difference in the producing of the quality leads. So just stick with the plans. That's the only thing I'm going to say to them. You need to stick with the plans, with the budget, and rest. They're going to get it.
Let us take care of the rest.
Exactly. Trust the professional.
That's great to hear. And obviously, it's been great working with SmartWay as well. So for anyone kind of watching this, whether it's an installer, retrofit assessor who has the opportunity to work with SmartWay, I couldn't recommend it enough, because it's a great team.
Yeah. I mean, thanks is the compliment for us. Obviously, we always responded to in time, and the telesale of the quality, the customers, everything. In terms of calling, I think we have one account manager who's connected with Joanna, and she worked quite hard even after the working hours.
Everyone that we've dealt with at SmartWay, from Hafiz and his partner all the way down to the calling team, the team doing the paperwork, they always ensure that the customers that you get from us are dealt with professionally. Obviously, the quality of work that all your installers do is amazing as well, and I think the reason that you're probably a favourite with your managing agent as well, because all the paperwork is always up to scratch and where it needs to be.
Yeah, that's basically the main thing in the business. The profit always been a key role, but the main thing is you need to be on the good side, the quality and if the government launches this scheme or they really want to reduce their energy bills by installing efficient measures. So we literally have to work on that specific side that makes a difference after getting into this market. I wouldn't hesitate to recommend BLC because my experience, I have a lot of different installer companies who are working with the BLC. They really have always positives in terms of low cost, in terms of good quality leads. So I really recommend the BLC always. Yeah.